One of the bosses of the Irish newspaper that published topless photographs of the Duchess of Cambridge says he will do what he can to shut down the paper. Meanwhile, an Italian magazine is planning to publish a special edition with the photographs tomorrow, ignoring the threats of legal action. Well, let's get more on all of this now with our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell, who's in the Solomon Islands, where the Duke and Duchess have arrived this morning. Nick, good morning to you, good evening to you, your time, of course. Let's just start with the tour in general. Are the couple showing any signs of strain with all this going on in the background?
No, none at all, and you really wouldn't expect them to. I mean, they're professionals. They are focused on continuing with this important tour on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen in, excuse me, the South Pacific. So they arrived here in the Solomon Islands a couple of hours ago. A very colourful, a very joyous welcome at the airport. They were garlanded with flowers, dancers, then they boarded an open-air vehicle and they were driven the several kilometres into the centre of Honiara, lined by thousands of people. And they were then at this cathedral here in the centre of town for a service of thanksgiving for the Diamond Jubilee. But, of course, in their minds, and certainly in the minds of their officials who are keeping in touch with London, are the latest developments in the continuing row over these photographs. Now, as I understand it, their priority at the moment is to identify the photographer who took the photographs. That is something, of course, that will be left largely to the French authorities, but certainly St. James's Palace is in touch with them, I would imagine, through the British Embassy in Paris. They want to identify the photographer, and of course, if assuming that they do that, they then have the option of suing the photographer for breach of privacy, in addition to the action they're taking against the French magazine itself.
Okay. Nicholas Witchell in the Solomon Islands, thank you very much indeed. Well, let us stay with this story now, because Richard Hillgrove used to work at Northern & Shell as the firm's advertising controller, and he joins me in the studio this morning. Very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. What was your reaction when you heard the news that this Irish edition of the Daily Star was going to publish these pictures?
I was equally in absolute disbelief, and I couldn't understand why that would have happened. And it's very clear that it's isolated to the editor, in my opinion, Mike O'Kane, who's acted alone. Circulation has been tight, if not slipping. The Irish Sun and the Daily Star in Ireland are very, very close indeed. And he's obviously thought, right, let's just pull this out and let's do it. Completely out of touch with world sentiment.
What did you make of his justification for publishing the pictures? He said, she's not our future queen. The Duchess would be no different to any celeb pics that we would get in, for example, Rihanna or Lady Gaga.
Well, I think no editor in the world would be so insensitive as to say that, hence why this is an issue for him personally. I mean, I think the idea of shutting down a national newspaper, an important one, you know, the third biggest selling in the Republic of Ireland, is from, I'm a PR now, so I'm ex-advertising now, PR, from a PR perspective, Richard Desmond's right to act so ferociously as a co-owner, but more realistically, I think they will probably ask for the resignation of Mike O'Kane, who seems to have gone completely rogue.
What would have been the reasons for doing it? Presumably a short-term spike in sales, but I suppose longer-term the repercussions could be much more serious.
Well, it's absolutely mindless, because you've got a situation where Berlusconi's published in France with Close, and now Berlusconi's also publishing in Italy with this 26-page. But the editor knew there was going to be a legal action against Closer, and so regardless of that, he's put everyone in the firing line. So obviously Desmond, who's built very careful relationships with the royal family over the years, Prince Philip opened the Northern & Shell Tower, is absolutely abhorred by this. It's a disgrace, and he needs to act decisively. But you can't unown something straight away. So I think the immediate effect will be the editor must go, he must resign.
Are you surprised as well, given that we're in the Leveson era at the moment, that the decision has been made to sort of break ranks with the majority of papers?
I think this puts everything back, because I think media is becoming more PR-led now. That's coming from a PR speaking. And obviously the target of the Duchess of Cambridge is the last person in the world that you would want to test press freedom with. I think everyone in the media is thinking this has put everything back. Because if anything, it's getting too constrained. There's too much control on the press, and now this has completely put everything back to the start again.
I've seen some commentators speaking about this issue in the last 48 hours, have made comparisons, drawn comparisons with the photos of Prince Harry. But a lot of people, again, have made the distinction, look, Harry's personality and social life is one thing. This was a very private holiday in a private residence, away from prying eyes, as it were. Do you share that view?
I think it's absolutely coincidence that these two things have come so close together, and clearly Prince Harry's persona is that, you know, he's a character, and he can get away with it. And like you say, it was semi-public what he did anyway. He's in Vegas and he's having some fun. The Duchess of Cambridge is in a private environment, what she thought to be a secluded area with her loved ones, and there's a long lens taken and it's a complete breach of privacy. But the most appalling thing is that someone, without telling management, without letting anyone know, in Ireland has so stupidly gone and done this, because it puts, you know, puts the actual paper in line for legal action. Because if the royals are making a stand and suing the French public, well, Berlusconi, the French magazine, equally they could sue the Irish Daily Star.
Okay. Interesting thoughts. Thank you very much for joining us,
Thank
Richard
you.
Hillgrove. Thank you. Now, the US State Department has ordered non-essential staff and American citizens to leave Tunisia and Sudan. This follows the latest round of protests across the Muslim world, apparently triggered by the appearance on the internet of an anti-Islamic